Hey YouTube, my name's Shane Harder. I run a small media production company named Mysterious Media. You're welcome to check out our website if you like. But today I really just wanted to give back to the film community. I searched and searched and searched for months after I realized that we could have a really powerful camera combination here with the FS5 Mark II, Ronin S, and a Shogun Inferno. And so I looked all over the place to see if anybody had put this camera package together and to see if it was working with what lenses and all that stuff. I couldn't find anything. So I thought, since I got this set up recently and I just put it together and it's working great for me, I might as well share some of my experiences and try to help somebody else out who might be having the same questions. So first off, as you can see, yes, you can use a Ronin S. You can use an FS5 and an FS5 Mark II with a speed booster and a 16-35 Canon lens on the Ronin S. As you can see, it's working here. I don't have the gimbal turned on. I'll turn it on in a minute. But do you have to take off the top grip and the side handle? Yes. So it's not a really quick and easy, dirty swap. If you guys are kind of a run and gun setup, for that, you would probably want a second camera that just stays on this, maybe. I don't know, but this is it. You can see it working. So that's first and foremost. I wanted to basically let people know that that does work. Second, I wanted to share some of my thoughts on why I think this is a powerful system and why I think it's really great and I love shooting on it. And then third, some of the things that I found that were a little tricky and maybe some things that I could help you viewers with to avoid as far as pitfalls go when trying to set this up. So first off, this is insanely powerful because it's one of the few systems on the planet. It's actually, I think, the only system on the planet that has a small enough camera body that can fit on the Ronin S and can shoot in a ProRes RAW format. And not only does it shoot in a ProRes RAW format, it can shoot up to 120 frames per second in 4K ProRes RAW. That is a mouthful, but it's insanely cool when you do it. Of course, that is in a burst mode. If you want a continuous signal, you can get 4K at 60 frames per second in ProRes RAW. And you can get a continuous 240 frame per second signal in ProRes RAW at 2K. So lots of great options there. I love slow motion. I think it adds a lot. It's one of the biggest frustrations I have with Canon cameras is they have very little support for slow motion. Something I would hope that they would fix in the future because I love their cameras. Again, small camera package actually fits on the pistol grip. So some of you might be wondering, well, why not just throw a red camera on a Movi or a regular Ronin or a Ronin 2 or something like that? It's very simple. It comes down to weight. Well, really two main things for me. I don't really like using those camera systems because when you hold them, your camera sits down here. And I've found in real world use that becomes a big problem because you have to end up holding the camera up like this. It tires out your arms really quick. So it makes for shorter shooting days, getting more exhausted, shakier shots. All in all, I don't feel as connected to the camera in those systems, which is my second point. With a pistol grip style, like you have with the Ronin S, I feel a lot more connected to the camera. And when I feel more connected to the camera, I find I get better shots. I find I do a better job of pulling focus. And by the way, yeah, with this, you can operate it with one hand and pull focus on the camera. It's wobbling about right now because it's not powered on. But you can pull focus on it, which is pretty cool. You know, you can't really do that when you're holding on to two hands because as soon as you let go, the whole thing falls down. If you let go with one hand, the whole thing falls down with a two grip style system. So with these, what you have to do is hold it like this awkwardly. It gets really hard, because it gets all this weight. This weight's all in an awkward configuration. You hold it here, and then you can try and rack focus, but it only works on some gimbals because some of them, the weight and the motors aren't strong enough to support it, and it's a big long story. But coming back to this, as you can see, it works great. And now you know why I was so interested to find out if this system works. And since I had never seen anybody post anything online about it working, I wanted to share this with everyone else. So as you can see, I have the 16 to 35 millimeter lens on here. The caveat or the problem with this using this lens is that it's too big and it does throw off the counterbalancing. So what I had to do is modify it. And so what I did was, well, actually, first off, I thought, why not just get a much bigger battery? This would then add a lot more weight to the back of the camera and, you know, counterbalance the heavier weight from the lens on the front. Tried it out, doesn't work. The battery sticks too far out and hits the rear motor. So any of you that were thinking that might be a great solution for you, I agree it would be, but it's just, you know, millimeters off, doesn't work. Sorry to bring the bad news, but as I realized that, I kind of also realized that, you know, I'll probably just add some more dense weight. So went to the local Lowe's, picked up this big steel plate, cost me 10 bucks. This right here is a 1/4 inch thick steel by 1.5 inches wide here across this dimension, and then it's 3 feet long. 10 bucks, it's really not a bad price for solid metals like that. And so I just took a hacksaw, hacked off 2 lengths of it that were this length right here, and adhered them together with epoxy, and then gaff taped them together just to make them look nice so it wasn't just this bare steel. The Ronin S has a nice mounting plate, a nice quick release plate here. They actually have a threaded mount on the back and the bottom of the quick release plate. It takes an M4 screw, and it's designed originally for a lens support, but I'm not using the lens support, so this makes for a perfect place to mount counterbalances. So I just drilled a hole through the steel plates, and then screwed this M4 screw right into that already threaded hole, which is really convenient. And they both just sit right into that battery cavity. And the battery that comes with the camera originally sits down deeper inside of there. So power's on, great, everything works perfect. And yeah, you just have to do a little bit of customization. The other nice thing is once you pull the camera off of this, so if you take it off the gimbal and then unscrew it, this counterbalance weight just stays on the quick release plate. So you never really have to take this off. It just adds this extra little bulky piece on the end. So it's a pretty slick system for an otherwise, I guess, a way that you could never really get it to work. So another thing to note is when you're doing this, the EVF hits. It hits the rear motor here. You know, putting it up doesn't really help, and you can't remove this EVF. So you can't, you know, point the camera too high up. That's about as high as you get. That's a little bit of a bummer, and you know, you're probably not going to be shooting that high anyway. But the bigger trick is when you're trying to balance this, because when you need to balance the let's get this around here. The tilt motor right here, you know, you have to basically point the lens directly into the sky, and you just try to balance it off of that axis. But when you can't tilt the camera up like that, what I found you have to do is drop this lever all the way down, drop this adjustment all the way down, and then pull the quick release plate all the way forward, and then it allows you to get the camera maneuvered so you can actually point it vertically. Then what I did was I measured exactly what part on these little marks, these hashtags, or little measurement marks, sorry, that the motor sat, and then slid everything back into place, got the camera pointed forward, and then returned it to that point. And then I continued to balance all the rest of the axes after that. And oops, I'm getting this all twisted around. So yeah, I balanced all the other camera axes after that, and it all works fine. So that's how I did that. I may have thrown something off So that's that. Oh, you probably want to see it turned on. Let's actually get this thing. What did I do? There we go. Got this thing really twisted around. Okay. Where's that on button? So there it is, and just push that guy and that. Oops, it's hard to do with this. There we go. Okay, so as you can see, here it is operating perfectly fine. Works really, really great. Great stabilization. I will say one concern I had was, what if the motors aren't really that strong and it can't hold the payload? I found that the motors are plenty strong for this camera setup. They don't vibrate or shake at all. If you have experience with gimbals and know what that's like, it's pretty awful. So yeah, DJI has put some really strong, powerful motors in here that allows for really, really nice and smooth camera operation and no shakes, no vibrations at all in the setup that they have. So any of you thinking about, doing this system, the way that I have this set up is I just pulled the cheese plate off of some other camera rigging gear. The Ronin S has 2 screw holes in the bottom of the grip, and then I used a magic arm, screwed that in, screwed in a quick release plate here, but you can also use the little feet, the mini tripod that comes with the Ronin S, and screw that right in the bottom. It's a pretty great setup. And then you can have it all connected and rolling and have a great ProRes RAW recording kit, all on a nice stabilized gimbal, or not if you want to take it off the gimbal. But yeah, hopefully you found that useful. I know I sure would have found this information useful about a month ago when I pre-ordered everything. But luckily, my little gamble and small calculations in my head ended up playing out well, and I've got a great working camera system. So have a great one. Any questions, feel free to leave them below. I don't check email or YouTube comments very often, so it may be a while till I get back to it. I apologize in advance for that. But have a great day and happy shooting.